So I think we need to be strategic. Like when we eliminate some positions that are not filled currently, we just need to be careful when we do that, that we don't then cause more overtime, because now, you know, 2 or 3 people have to do this person's job, and it causes, you know, overtime, which could be a whole other problem of adding cost. So I think now we need to take this report, take the suggestions that that myself and other candidates and current city council members and the mayor's office and his, you know, his team. I think we all need to come with these suggestions, but some major structural changes need to be made to the next fiscal budget, to the budget for the next fiscal year, but also just immediately. There are some parts of this plan that need to be immediately implemented. Certainly with all the bank accounts, and all the IT departments can be smashed into one for savings. Yeah, so I think we need to do that. It's been very difficult to campaign citywide. It's hard knocking on every door. You can't, and then therefore it's cost prohibitive to then have to mail to people the whole city. You just can't do it, and it's a disservice to Detroiters. That means that you're not going to see and have face-to-face contact from all the people who are asking for your vote. You know, and so we rely on things like name recognition. Now, coming from me, you know, that sounds like it would be, you know, ironic that I would say something like that. But I think it's, I think people deserve to have face-to-face contact, which was why we've been campaigning so hard. I mean, we've been all around this city. In fact, when I leave here today, we're on our way to the Boston Edison area to knock on doors and ask for votes personally, face-to-face, and to answer any questions that people may have. And voters deserve that. And I am so, I'm glad I'm here being interviewed by the citizen. I'm glad I was on public television on a live debate for an hour, being interviewed by, you know, some of the best journalists in town on live TV to properly vet me and the other candidates. I think that if we had this kind of vetting process 4 years ago, then perhaps we wouldn't have elected some of the people we elected. So I'm excited. I want to go to every interview. I want to answer all questions. I want to share my ideas. I want to be held up to the light and looked at under the microscope, because I think all of us should be. But that's why, that's a long answer to say, that I believe that there should be council by district, because it's so hard to campaign citywide. And you know, if you were able to just knock on doors in a district, or hold a couple of town halls in that district, so that, you know, people could get to you and even serve you once they're elected, they could serve you much better. The charter should also then give, I believe, some more check and balance power to the council, because it's very difficult to ensure the delivery of city services if you're not in charge of or have no say over any of the departments. Even from the standpoint of simply approving their appointment, like what happens in the county. You know, if the executive appoints a department head, the county commissioners have to approve that person. So I believe that just like right now the city council approves the appointment of the corporation council, I think that should be across the board for at least department heads who deliver city services. I think also the charter should change to make it very clear about when there is misconduct in office, and the step-by-step process of getting that person right out. So right now the language is unclear, and I think it needs to be made very clear, and the process be made simple as well. I think that how well I've done my job. I mean, you know, I think journalism is a public service. Particularly those who fight to have more positive news coverage, or coverage of issues that are ignored. You know, not only, I mean, quite literally have I been in nearly every neighborhood in the city and talk to all kinds of people because of my job. But you know, I've been present outside of just doing my job in neighborhoods. Also as a mentor. You know, the fight against HIV and AIDS in this community is, we need to step up our game. I mean, our numbers are not what they should be of HIV infections every year. Particularly people in certain segments of our community who are ignored, and nobody's talking to our LGBT youth about sex because people are afraid to talk to a gay teenager about sex. They don't want to hear it. But the unfortunate part of wanting to remain ignorant about that discussion is the HIV infection rate is exacerbated by that kind of ignorance and lack of involvement. And so I've been very involved in that fight. I've been very present in the lives of young people, letting them know that abstinence is an option, that certainly they should be thinking about because education should be their focus. But so I've lended my voice and my presence and my commitment to that particular issue, just to educate our community and to be very focused on information that we need, but that maybe not a lot of people are talking about, like our gang problem that we just can't seem to get a hold of. So I think that that my career and my commitment to my career has been my public service to the community. No, not at all. Barack Obama paid top dollar for an infomercial, a commercial about his candidacy that aired on, I think, NBC, ABC, CNN. It costs money to go on television. I mean, the reality is that we couldn't get interviews on. If I called Devin Skillian's show and said, Devin, let me on your show to talk about my ideas to change Detroit, he'd say no, pay for a political commercial. And so WADL, offered an opportunity to go on a show, and the show said, this is the fee to come on the show and talk about being a candidate for office. You can't just come on and talk about being a candidate for office, you have to pay for that. It's called a commercial. So I saw that as no ethical lapse at all. I think it would have been an ethical lapse to stage an interview and go over ahead of time what questions would be asked and to plan my answers. I answered what was asked. I answered truthfully and honestly, and if you watch that interview, my answers are no different than the answers I'm giving now, other than to this question. But no, I don't see that as an ethical lapse at all. And I'm very committed to being truthful and transparent and honest. I had no idea that the show wouldn't say that the show's been paid for. I pay for radio interviews, but they say during the interview that the candidate has paid to appear on this show. So I assumed that would be somewhere on the screen, that they knew that this was a commercial, but a truthful answering of questions that were asked.